Thank you for tuning into Status Coup. My name is Jason Peters, and today we're in West Philly, Southwest Philly, kicking off a week-long, maybe even 2-week-long swing state reporting tour. But unlike the mainstream media, we're not focused on the horse race of who's going to win the election, the polls. We're focused on real people and real stories here on Status Coup. And today I'm here with
Ant Brown.
Ant Brown, could you introduce yourself a little bit to the people?
Sure. My name Ant Brown. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mentor, and I'm a mover shaker in the city of Philadelphia.
So I know you primarily to be an activist of sorts, someone that's been focusing on the gun violence problem and the anti-violence, trying to steer positive energy in a direction. We've talked over the years about it for newspapers and so on and so forth.
Okay.
What has inspired you to do that work?
So, I just coming from poverty-stricken neighborhoods, it made me realize how many other young people need an outlet. Like, I was fortunate enough to figure out my own mind and the power of how I think and what's possible, what I can do with my own collective power, or when the community get involved in bringing ideas forth together. I realized that what gave me that confidence was having mentors and stuff like that, and people who showed me like what's possible. So it made me want to get into that work and be like a person that can like create the pathway to success for somebody else. And then I lost a brother to gun violence. I lost a lot of friends, and it's just like I realized it's a problem that I don't think is ever going to really completely be solved or fixed. So the best thing I can do is like be a representation for young people to try to like steer their mindset in a different direction, like by giving them like opportunities that just shows like there's more productive things to do out here than to just be crashing out and killing each other.
So you talk about mentorship, you talk about reaching out to the young people. Bear with me here. Mm-hmm. On this swing state tour that we're kicking up on, I forgot to mention that I will be hosting our Pennsylvania leg with our producer John, and then Jordan takes over for Michigan and Wisconsin. Forgot to mention that in the intro.
Okay.
But you mentioned mentoring and being there for the young people. Mm-hmm. Right beside you are young people, and you were out here when we pulled up. What were you doing today? What was the work today?
So my organization, A Bro, Always Be Real Original, we're a creative arts initiative. Our mission is to mentor, engage, and provide opportunities to the youth through the arts and entertainment. Something that we always do, it got to deal around like art, community, denouncing violence, and also we worked on this project. What we was just doing was we did our own social media study. So I'm working with, I partner with Penn Violence Recovery Program and Penn Injury Science Safe Lab to conduct like some social media studies and stuff like that. And we just did a project where as though we was interviewing them about what they think about social media, how often do they use social media, how do they use social media for healthy habits opposed to just negative habits. And yeah, I got a few more to actually interview. They just so happen to be the ones we interviewed today.
It's ironic that you talk about social media, because when I interviewed you back in like 2020, 2021, 2022, when the gun violence numbers were way higher, a big thing that we were talking about was social media being a problem with things like inter-block beefs, gang violence, and like crashing out and then posting it on the gram sort of stuff. Now, in 2024, we actually have to have the more pleasant conversation of gun violence is down 41% from where it was last year at this time.
Right.
And if you go back to 2022, the number was something like 427 shootings at this point in 2022.
Right.
Now we're at 199, more than 50% cut in half.
Crazy drop.
And you've been there doing the work this whole time. Can you speak to me about what has changed between 2021, 2022, and now?
I'm not going to keep staring at everything political, but I would say I think there is like a collaborative effort amongst the city to implement new programs or get behind supporting programs. But it really came from a lot of community members seeing the problem and creating their own, like a lot of leaders and orgs, they created their own solutions. And I think that's what happened. Like the community got real involved with, you know, showing up for public safety hearings and public safety meetings and learning about the public health approach to gun violence and stuff like that. I think it's been a national study on what's going on in gun violence. You know, Philly was like #1 at that time. So it was like a lot of support that came here and a lot of eyes kind of locked in on Philly. And I think that awakened those in power to say, you know what, this is a problem. It's a real bad problem. We need all hands on deck to help solve the problem. But I think most of the decrease in numbers came from like the intervention, more like the prevention and intervention opposed to like arresting people and all that. I think it came from programs, like getting young people from the community into programs, circling back around with these topics, like after we have one town halls, like that's it. No, like the city was like more consistent with it. That's what, from what I understand, that's what I see is like, because it's now a public health issue, I've seen like when something becomes like the thing, how everybody create this wraparound service and thing to go support it. And I think that's what happened. Like gun violence been a problem. I think it was something significant about like that pandemic time that made everybody say, okay, we really need something new in Philly. And then you see certain like offices and committees and all of this stuff on gun violence task force and stuff like that get created. Yeah. Then you start to see like, I think that's why the numbers went down, because the city focused on it from a multifaceted approach. It wasn't just, we're going to denounce it and then go hide. Like, you mean, community members was outside holding people accountable. I mean, people were showing up everywhere. And I think that's what happened was like, you know, significant investment started to come into like violence intervention initiatives. So from what I see, I think that played a big part.
So right now we're in West Philly. Southwest Philly, y'all.
We right there. It's like, look, West Philly literally right there. So he's not doing nothing wrong. It's a borderline that everybody want to know. We right here on 63rd at Elmwood.
If you're by the airport,
we literally
it's West Philly. Also, the river is on the other side of the city. Ain't no East Philly. This is West Philly. I'm sorry, Southwest Philly. I'll try to remember it. But we're in West Philly, predominantly black neighborhood. The shootings issue has been primarily in these neighborhoods. Have you seen anything changing in these neighborhoods to help and get these numbers to where they are? Because I'm interested in talking about this 41% decrease. Because I don't feel like a lot of the media is talking about the 41% decrease. Philly's still painted with that scary brush. But there's some really good things happening in the city.
Yep. And I think that's one of them is like, and yes, this come in my community. That's why I said growing up, I seen it so much. Like, it's just like, it's normal. To the average eye from the community. To me, it didn't feel normal because it's like, I don't know. I always thought outside the box. Like, it's nothing normal about self-destruction. I feel like, you know, once again, anytime there's a shooting, you see a lot of wraparound services start to come out. There's a lot of victim services organizations that got established in the city since this spike in numbers. And I think all of that is playing like in a part. Like, I think you see the faith-based organizations, you see the community at large, you see the elected official, you see everybody working as collaborative effort. And that's from what I see. And then another thing too, you know, most of the gun violence is not happening from a large amount of people. It's usually like a small amount anywhere. Like any neighborhood is always a small amount that it might be groups that beef with each other, but they end up doing crimes and stuff like that, depending on social media or doing something reckless. If they end up getting caught or whatever, and then next thing you know, you might see the violence in the area decrease because the same amount of people is the ones that's perpetuating the violence. And when they not, or if they doing something constructive and not destroying the community, you start seeing that neighborhood change slowly. But I think that's what it is too. It's like the problem, it's a big problem, but it's a small percentage of people who is really doing it are really involved in it the most. So I think that's why like the numbers started to like slowly decrease and stuff like that. It's like there's a collaborative approach and the same people is not like plaguing their communities for real.
What have you seen be some of the successful tactics that you think other cities around the country, because this is a national outlet, could model?
Man, listen, if the young people, listen, I was in Buffalo. I ain't throwing shots at Buffalo, New York. I was in Buffalo, New York recently, and they have a problem with the kids fighting a lot. I was out there. I probably watched like 7 or 8 fights back to back happen at the festival.
Oh,
right?
wow.
It sounds crazy,
Wait,
but
what kind of festival?
it was their Juneteenth festival.
Oh, wow.
So I watched and big shout out to the folks out there. Y'all my folks. It was like 8 fights. Now, I'm about to tie this into an angle. So in Philly, you better leave after the second fight, right? So it's
I get that. Yeah.
You're not getting to the 8th jump. You're not getting to an 8th riot without something happening in Philly.
Yeah.
Whereas though out there, I noticed that kept happening. There was no gun violence and stuff like that. Well, I'm not saying there's nothing, but that day it was just constant fights. I said they bored. Right, you need to create more program. No, honestly, you need more programs. You know, if you don't got a youth committee or a youth commission in your city, and you're not taking young people who was criminally justice involved and providing them opportunities to get back in the community and start to be that person that deter violence a little bit as like a credible messenger or something, then you will continue to see the numbers like go up. I think getting the community, the hospitals, the city officials, and the youth all on the same page with how y'all building out legislation, or y'all building out policies and stuff like that. If you get all those perspectives and like a coordinated system, you'll start to be able to build out programs that actually is effective and decrease violence. Because one thing I know I've done, rather I'm gonna get the credit for in the city. I know when I left rooms and seen ideas get implemented, but I didn't get a part of it. If you are a person from the community who can process what's going on through different lenses, you have a lot of leverage to go at these tables and help present ideas that might could build out programs or that's talk about where the money need to go for the next budget year, et cetera, fiscal year, et cetera, that will really directly impact programs that directly get to people, right? Because it's like a person 60 years old won't be able to do what I'm doing. But when I turn 60, I won't be able to do what I'm doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we bring different perspectives when we building our programs and mobilize people, man, like that's the only way to stop violence. It shouldn't be no battle between each other, between organizations. There shouldn't be no arguing. It shouldn't be no who's trying to run and chase get the most money. There should be like when it comes to violence intervention, there should be no separation that gets created within when you building out programs or when you building out the initiatives to make your city safe and bring everybody to the table, you know? Like, that's what I would say. Get these young people perspective, because somebody that you would never expect might have a perspective that help you add something in your program that might actually make it successful. So you mentioned the youth getting involved. I want to throw it out to the youth because they're getting a little fidgety. Yeah. Would any of you guys like to say anything about what we're talking about growing up in Philly and what'd you say, your community?
You don't have to, but I figured I'd ask the question. Yep. Is he in the frame? Yeah. So growing up in Philly, first of all, how old are you? Introduce yourself.
My name is Kamani. I go by Halo. I'm 15.
You're 15. So have you grown up in Philly your whole life?
Yes.
So has gun violence been something you've had to think about your entire life?
Yes, because I couldn't do certain things I wanted to do as a teenager, like go to the store, go with my friends. And I feel like every time I wanted to do something, I had to worry about gun violence and everything. So I feel like that stopped me from doing what I want to do as a teenager.
Yeah, have you had things like curfews imposed on you?
Curfews, yes. My mom told me to come home before the sun goes down.
Yeah. And growing up in Philly, going to school here, hanging out here, at what age did you see your peers getting interested in things like guns or crime?
Now.
Right now?
Yes, it's worse than ever right now.
Yeah?
Yes.
So right now, about 15 years old. And what has kind of made you not want to take part in that and do things like be involved in the ABRO program?
Because I know what I can lose. I have a lot going for myself right now with the content and everything, and ABRO has gave me a big leeway and it's helping me.
What are your goals for the future?
goals for the future to be successful.
That's great to hear. How about you?
Me?
Yeah. What is your name? How old are you? Where are you from?
Okay. My name Anaya. I'm 14. I'm from West Philly, but I live in Southwest.
Got it. That explains why you're so territorial. Yeah. So, being from Southwest, when did you experience, like, when did your eyes first get opened to, like, the potential of gun violence being a part of your life?
Okay, so living with my mom, she never wanted me to go outside. Like, she never wanted me to see this type of world. So actually, I just started going outside this year in the summertime.
Mm.
And now that I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, my mom was like, right, like, I don't want to be out here with all these people when they shooting and I don't feel safe. Like, why should I walk down the street to go to the store and not feel safe? Like, that's not good.
So you're 14 years old. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to get out or get away?
Actually, yes. I was like right there in the crossfire, and I wasn't scared because it was like I heard gunshots around me, but I wasn't scared. But it was like I'm right here. Like, y'all don't care. Y'all just gonna shoot.
But do you see a problem with you being 14 years old and not being scared of gunshots?
I do see a problem. I see a big problem with it. That's not. It's normal, but like it's not something to be proud of saying that is normal.
So, a question for you. In 2021, 2022, there was 50% more shootings than there is this year. Have you seen any of that? Have you felt any of that? Does it feel safer out today than it might have during COVID?
I was hurt because a lot of my friends passed away. But I'm like, you know what? I woke up this morning. So, like, I'm happy. And I'm like, I'm about to live my life for them. Like, they my friends, y'all my homies. And now I'm about to live my life. I woke up this morning. God bless me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you've had to deal with friends passing away because of this.
And the crazy part...
Well, go ahead, Aunt.
And the crazy part is...
Thank you.
You see she using our uniform styles. Like,
yeah.
The crazy part is like... It's so common, you feel me? Like, as long as I've been alive, I always remember, like, my friends getting killed. Like, or people from my neighborhood getting killed. Like, that's the crazy reality. And I didn't realize it was a problem until I started doing violence intervention prevention work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know it's wrong. You know something is off. Whereas, like, I mean, like, we used to sleep at each other's house. Like, you feel me? Like, you mean, your mom is my aunt. My mom is your aunt. And then you was just taken away when we in the 5th grade, and I gotta go to school. Like, you my right hand. Now I gotta go to school every day. You're not there no more. And then I gotta process that. And when a lot of stuff happen, man, don't nobody really go and provide wellness and all of that type stuff to, like, the schools and stuff like that, you know? Like, they don't provide wellness and wraparound services. So I never received, like, as a kid, you know, I'm talking about this is years back. Like, I never received, like, no type of victim services or no type of therapy or none of that when it's like, you know, it's my best friend and now he got killed. Like, what? Like, I just never really knew how to process it. And it took me to become an adult doing this work to be like, okay, something was wrong. It is something wrong. Like, even losing my brother, like, I never took therapy for none of that. And then it's like, think about how many young people from these communities with these same social determinants of health. They got the same background, same environments that is feeling that way, right? And it's not okay and masking it like they okay, and they won't because they didn't get no wellness. And this is why I got this big wellness through the arts initiative that we working on right now. Big shout out to One for All PA, 22 acres of land in the Poconos Wellness Retreat. I always got a shout out to my people, and yeah, I'm working on like instilling like a wellness program and platform as well, because it's like we can talk about this stuff. I could take these young people out. We can do events. We can go out, everything. But it's that interpersonal work that everybody need to work on when you come from these type communities, because trauma is real.
So let me see this. Hey, little man. I'll hold it for you. I see you dancing in the background. What's your name?
Sam.
So what did you do with Ant today? Did you shoot some content? You talk about social media?
I talked about social media and interviewed about what has going on in the past few years about social media.
What did you learn about social media?
I learned that sometimes it can be good and sometimes it can be bad because I lost one of my friends to social media. His name was Hezzy. He had got shot by his own friend in the head, and then they threw him in the dumpster. So, yeah.
How old?
He was 13.
Yo, I'm sorry, buddy.
So right
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to hear that, man. No, that is so terrible to hear. So when you say you lost your friend, you gotta hold it right here. I'll hold it for you. When you say you lost your friend to social media, what does that mean?
I mean, like, sometimes it's not good, and sometimes it's not bad because sometimes it can help you with stuff like get a tuition and like help you, like social media can help you with a lot of things. Like if you want to create your own brand and stuff, you can like do something off of social media. And like I think that sometimes it's bad because sometimes people always trying to find something to get you mad or get you angry or something, and you can't hang around like the right people. You can't hang around people and you know they're gonna stab you right in the back.
Well, that's incredibly full of wisdom from someone your age. How old are you?
11.
Well, I think that's good information for you to have because there is such a good thing as good social media and bad social media. For example, we're on social media spreading the word about what you guys go through and have lived through, and we're being positive. So we're putting positivity out into the world rather than putting negativity out the world. So the outcome for us will be positive. But if you choose to put negativity out in the world, what do you think is going to come?
It's going to get shot, get killed, or something.
Well,
like be a bad thing. Yeah.
So what
she said.
So what are your goals, and why do you not want to be on the street?
My goal is to find something to do in life. I want to get a tuition, go to college. I want to get a good GPA, and I want to create my own brand and start like how Ant started the Abram community a program. I want to start my own program about learning like crafts and like making clothes and stuff.
That is fantastic to hear. Well, man, I'm happy I met you today. What's it called?
I feel like I was wise like that when I was a kid. Like, y'all really got, I'm telling you, like, they can say to young people, y'all can say, and now I feel like I'm in my bag right now interviewing, like, they can say the young people is all about violence, is all about destruction or whatever, but these are 3 prime examples. They can be articulate. They actually have emotion and is tapped in within themselves. They process the world in ways that they think young people can't because their brain don't really fully develop until they're 25. But we got young people like this that's inspired to change their life. And it's also show what happened when mentorship is like a big violence interrupter. Like it just like, you know, like when you got a young person that trusts you and just trusts your guidance and really like, nah, I ain't doing that. Ant not gonna mess with me no more. Like you can really stop somebody from really, you can stop somebody from destroying their life, as I have done already multiple times. I got a bunch of stories of young people that I've encountered fresh out of them being locked up and robbing people and doing X, Y, and Z last year. Life completely changed over. I advocated for people in court, all types of stuff like that. And I'm gonna always make sure that I be there for these young people. And I want anybody out there, I don't care what city you in, if you have an influence of some sort, the best thing you could do is pour back into the next generation, because they the future journalists, they the future basketball players, the future videographers, photographers, the future tech people, the future principals of the schools, the future deans of the schools, if you get where I'm going with it metaphorically. So I just want a big shout out to this platform. Big shout out to Jason Peters. I don't know if you got another question for me before we end. I got questions. Come on.
You just stood up and you went full.
Let's go.
You got inspired. I had to stand up and let the preacher out a bit. So I wanted to ask you questions because I want people to learn from what you've done. Like I've seen you stay consistent. You can clip that on. I've seen you stay consistent in working in violence prevention and programming for the last 3 years. And it is no coincidence that gun violence is down. It is no coincidence. Like, So talk to me about what you've done over the last 3 years, because I know a bit about your story, and I've seen the levels to it. You now talk about budgets and fiscal quarters and things like that you wouldn't have been speaking on a little bit ago. So what is the important in kind of aligning yourself with political leaders, companies, nonprofits, community leaders? What is the importance of it? And more importantly, how did you accomplish it?
Right. So, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you good. You good.
The importance of coordinating with community leaders.
Like I was mentioning before, strength in numbers, it takes a coordinated system. No one person got the answers. I started off, that's why like I wouldn't even really call myself an activist no more. Like I'm just like, you know, I just really like refrain from titles sometimes because titles can lock you in a box. And also I'm an activist at heart and by spirit. So I started off, I was the one, you know, organizing, bringing people together. If I had to protest, we protesting. If we there, like, and I think that was a big leverage builder for making my name relevant to have conversations in certain rooms. So when you doing, like, when you see through an activist lens, if you don't study, at the time I wasn't studying. I just knew what I felt was right and what was wrong, and I knew like I had people power, so I needed to be outside. Once I started studying certain things, I started realizing, you know, you see, right.
Yeah.
So once I started to study like the conditions and what it really takes to fix the problem or start to aid and start healing the problem, I realized like, yo, I gotta be multifaceted. Like I have to learn these terms. I have to, cause it's all in the language. Like politics will hide things in language. They will put things in language that you won't understand. And whole time, this is how everybody is getting all of this money. And then you start seeing like people who not from your community get all the money to do the stuff in your community because you don't understand the language that these people speaking. And then I also went and took public safety trainings, you know, just like let me hear what's all the words y'all using, like how what is the language, right? And then in the public health space. So when I started to see, like, when I'm working in the public health space, working with the hospitals, or public safety, I'm working with, like, even the Office of Violence Prevention during that time. And then, you feel me, I'm working in the community. I, like, got the community at large. Like, the youth know me. Young people, pretty much in different parts of the city, different type of organizations and entities I'm familiar with. Damn, how could I pull y'all together to start having these discussions or start aiding towards anti-violence? And I think with me, I was just the example that I wanted to see. Like, I wanted to see somebody who could speak my language, who was in the hip hop, like, and who was unapologetic, you know, like, you know, I didn't care about being canceled or nothing. Like, I spoke my mind. I always wanted to see somebody like that can balance that education, that professional side too. So that's what made me start to work within both sides is, and work with these different entities and pull them together to stop this violence was like, yo, I need to be that representation of like, yo, I can go sit in a boardroom and still handle my own, and then I can go in a culture and host an event and we just had a whole night lit. Then I can go be a mentor to the youth and be like this example of somebody who just, you know, like have righteous intent. So I always wanted to be, I think me wanting to be like versatile like that, it helped me start to really like be effective in like decreasing violence for us to a certain extent. Like I said, I see a lot of things implemented that I know I've been the spearhead behind giving the ideas, whether I get the credit or not. And that's another reason why I move so strategic now too, because when people that'll take your ideas and act like you ain't even create them, like stuff like that.
I'm familiar.
And when I see like certain things implemented and all that, it actually brings peace to my heart because it's like, you know what? I know I'm inspiring some sort, whether people gonna see it or not. And I'm a sponge. I learn heavily off feeding off other people. So my experience from 2020 to now, it was a lot of me encountering a lot of leaders too. And a lot of people who is in high offices, people who have gave me just conversations. I'm the type that's gonna pick your brain. I'm the type that's gonna, yo, what you think about this? You know what I mean? And then in the back of my mind is making its own connections on how I can approach it the way I do. So Yeah, that's what got me, you know, like, is wanting to pull all these people together is nobody can do it on their own.
What has been one of the biggest hurdles in getting this kind of work done and helping the community?
One of the hurdles is always funding. Like you can do this stuff with passion, but to scale anything or take it to the next capacity, you need capital. So finding out them funding streams, and I think I was having a problem at first. Like you said, you know, information is key. I felt like for a good amount of time, and this is like the unapologetic me, people was waiting for me to figure out how to get this, how to do this myself. They like, when people really had the knowledge of telling me, yo, this is really how you get it. This is how you do it. This is how you do that. I had to figure it out myself. Big shout out to Philly Boat, the School of Grassroots. They told me everything with building capacity in my organization, how to get a fiscal sponsor, how to build out your theory of change, how to create your mission statement, board governance, all of that. I want to give a big shout out to Philly Boat. And that's why I'm giving a big shout out to them, because I work with a lot of entities in this city. A lot. And a lot of people, I'm not going to say it like that, but I feel like a lot of people is waiting to see what you figure out before they give you the information of how to do things, right? Yeah. So that's why it's a lot of doubling back right now that is just like, I don't got time to partner.
You're very careful to not be negative.
You peep.
I know. If you don't want to say anything bad about anyone, which is an admirable skill of someone in your position, because you say unapologetic, because but then you're like,
in 2022, that wasn't me. That's why.
You've learned. You've said some things and gotten some clapback.
So I mean, I never cared. To this day, I don't care about clapback. I believe in God more than I believe in people. So it's not nothing that nobody can say to make me feel like this world is God's world. You feel me? It's not nobody. So it's nobody that can really make me feel like what I've said was the worst thing in the world, especially when I don't intentionally try to offend people. Some people get offended when you say certain things because you don't align with their visions or their ideology. So when I learned that, I realized you can't please everybody. And I played the big part with like making sure, like,
Is that Sister Talia?
No, I don't even know who that is. She probably knows us from the community side. Don't even know. So I played a big part. I understand, like, you know, I always want to make sure, like, people can't really dictate the way I got to where I am, and people trust me, my community, they love me or support me or whatever because I always stayed who I am. I didn't let like other people's perspectives stop me from saying things if I feel like I've had to say it. So meaning 2 years, I was in the hot seat. I've been there already, you know? But I realized, like, strategically, I'm not going to get too much done in Philly the way I want to get it done if I'm too controversial, right? And that's for me specifically.
I've learned that.
You know, so it's
learned that.
So that's for me personally. That don't mean like
no. That's a good note for anyone.
I support everybody who, you know, do what you got to do to advocate for your community of some sort. Me, I realized, like, and then I realized it's because the space that we're in. Like, when people. It's like when somebody say something like, all right, it's like, oh, Jason Peter said this. Oh, Ann Brown said this. And then it's like, well, dang, I didn't know it was that deep. So,
you got to learn it's that deep.
You got to learn it's that deep.
Repercussions.
You got to learn it's that deep. And I'm not saying that for anybody to be inspired by fear to like, oh, well, no. I'm just saying, like, everything is for everybody. It's not for me to be as controversial right now. I'm going to get way more done.
You get more done moving a little careful.
Yes.
So only a couple more questions left for you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything, like right now, 41% down, like less than 200 shootings this year.
That's amazing.
And we're in October.
That's amazing.
There was 427 in 2022 at this time of year. What else can we do? Because if you get complacent, the number's going to go back up again, and we're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
What should the city do? What should community leaders be doing to keep the number down and get it lower?
Everything they already doing, and then everything they already doing. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a lot of good going on. And I think a lot of people have a lot of good intentions to continue this work. Like, I would say keep doing what they doing, plus more. The more investments go into the work, the more you expand it. Expand more programs, hire more people, bring more consultants in to creatively think about different ways to elevate the programs for violence intervention and violence prevention. But I think like the city is doing a good job with what they're doing. Like, it's just showing. There's a lot of negative here too. But it's a balance, you know. It's nowhere is ever going to be good. But just like anything, we've seen how the numbers go from 500 to down to 100 and something.
But listen to this. We got two people sitting out here, and you said the city is doing good.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to anybody who's been saying that sort of thing in a while, but that's what this decrease in numbers will have you feeling. Like, there is some hope in some things, you know?
Because I see it through a different lens too. I guess, you know, man, I got great elders, you know. I would really give them a lot of the way I even think and process things, because I try to process things where it's like I'm thinking of all of the moving pieces, whereas like I know why a lot of people say the city is doing bad, but we really is doing a lot of good too. You know, like I really literally can feel and see the difference from 2020 from Dad. What's up? I can really
his dad pulled up.
I can really see the difference between 2020, 2021 and now. Like, that's the big difference. I can feel the difference. I'm outside. I'm not I'm not the one that's like, you know, I mean, like, I'm not as outside, but I'm outside in different ways. I'm in organizing. I'm in a community. I was working with a lot of patients that's been affected by gun violence and stuff like that. Like, just helping them with resources. Like, I've been outside. So I would say there is good. I mean, but at the end of the day, man, there's never nowhere where it's a lot. And I'm not the spokesperson for Philadelphia to try to say Philly's just good. There's a balance of everything. But I would say it's some good going on. Like the way these organizations is building capacity. Like, I watch organizations that first started around the pandemic time get scaled to like 6 and 7 figure organizations. It started off impacting 10 kids. Now they got a capacity of 50 kids. Like, so that's what I mean by I see the expansion that's going on with a lot of community-based orgs.
I was gonna say, this feels like in 2024, the drop-off in shootings feels like the work paying off from people who lived through the pandemic, and you were locked in your house and there were shootings outside. Like, it was there was multiple problems happening in the city, and it felt darker than it does today, you know? And my last question, coming up after I tell the people at home to subscribe to Status Coup. Become a member and support it if you want to see more real journalism like we're doing here.
In the middle of the trenches too.
That's where the last question was going, is
somebody literally got stabbed up over there the other morning. Like,
that'll happen, but
bad.
You know I'm not afraid to be out here.
Yeah, I know. You be outside. We good though.
I feel bad bringing John out. I told him, hey, you know, but no, he goes to like,
right?
Yeah, and he's been to some places.
Yeah,
but subscribe to Status Coup if you want to see real journalism. And I was going to say, I think it's so cool that we're out here and having this conversation, and it's getting out to a national audience.
Yes.
The numbers are down. There are less shootings, yet you turn on the news, and it still seems like it's the same number of shootings. They talk about it. How does Philly get its internal reputation better?
Right.
How do we convince Philly that Philly is good?
Well, I'm going to keep it a bean. When you turn on the news, a lot of, I mean...
Or TikTok, or Twitter, or what's that? No Guns Philly.
You still see a bunch.
The tone is still scary and bad. The narrative isn't 41% down. Whether it's our own Instagram spam accounts.
Right.
He said No Guns Philly like everybody knew. Like, No Guns Philly and Philly Scoop Hall.
Yeah, all things Philly. Big shout out to All Things Philly. They took No Gun Zone page, so make sure y'all follow All Things Philly. They for the community. They repost the community. Everything going on. They help a lot of organizations in the community expand with the exposure they gave them. So I want to give a big shout out to No Gun Zone's messed up that your platform got taken down. But, you know, All Things Philly. Make sure y'all follow All Things Philly. That's the next No Gun Zone.
And All Things Philly. Why don't you clip this? Us talking about the fact that gun violence is down 41%
Yeah.
in Philadelphia this year from last year at this time. Less than 200 shootings through, where are we, October 8th?
Yeah.
So my final question to you is, how do you think Philly convinces itself that it's good?
It ain't never gonna convince itself that it's good. I mean, this is me. I mean, like,
What's your first bit of negativity this whole interview?
I know, like, it's just a reality too. It's like, cause I think anytime a good amount of things go on, it's gonna, like, you know, like, we went a good little minute without getting homicides, and then we had a mass shooting that happened around the corner. So it's like, I think it's like one incident can like erase a lot of it could change the narrative fast. Whereas, like, you know, we can go 2 months without any homicides, any shootings.
You know what's interesting?
And then one mass shooting, we done.
People from the suburbs, they used to complain about, this is technically how you know it's progress. People from the suburbs anecdotally were complaining about gun violence for a long time. Now they're scared of carjackings.
Wow.
Well, that's the big thing that they're
Yeah,
scared
that's the
of
big
because
thing.
of the news.
Yeah, and that's a big problem too.
But is there anything you want to tell the people, Ann, about yourself, where to follow you before we sign off?
Sure. Shoot, I ain't gonna curse. You can follow me on Instagram at AntBrownENT. You can Google Ant Brown Abro Experience to like check out different news clips and stuff like that about my organization. You can follow abroexperience.com. Well, you can check out abroexperience.com to check out the website to see some of the stuff we did with the youth. If you want to donate, it's a donate link there. And yeah, everything just Ant Brown Abro. Then you could probably really find links to all of my work and stuff like that. But at AntBrownENT on everything. Email antbrownent@gmail.com. I'm always looking to speak on more national platforms as I'm trying to expand from out of Philly. Just still home, but I'm trying to continue to expand. I'm always staying here and coming back, but I want to expand.
Before we sign off, what are some of the other cities that you've toured and seen, and what have you thought in comparison to Philly?
I've been to Chicago. I've been to Indianapolis, Hartford, Connecticut, Buffalo, New York.
And this is all like
for gun violence stuff,
Yeah.
for violence intervention, learning or training or something like that. So when I went to Chicago, that was a violence intervention for the hospital-based violence intervention programs, something like called the Javi. And I went out there and I connected with a lot of the violence interrupters, what they call, from all across the country. Hartford, Connecticut, I was out there for a training on trauma-informed care and stuff and working with victims. When I was in Buffalo, New York, of course, I was out there to just bring the ABRO experience out there, but also I had a public safety meeting. And then, what is the other one? I was in Indianapolis. We went out there for like this community development convention where we learned about like how you take certain concepts and build out an entire ecosystem for your neighborhood. And yeah, so all of those different trainings ties into why I talk the way I do and advocate the way I do and can touch on certain multiple topics and tie it into like this gun violence problem. So yeah.
Well, once again, thank you to Ant Brown for being here. I appreciate you greatly. Before we sign off, if you have any suggestions or questions about where we are going or where we should go on this tour, email us at info@statuscoup.com. Keep tuned in because this swing state road trip stays in Pennsylvania. I'll be your host tomorrow and the next day. Then John picks up Jordan and they head to Chicago andWisconsin. Be sure to go to statuscoup.com.
Michigan
and Wisconsin. My name is Jason Peters. Make sure to go to statuscoup.com to donate and support. Go to all Status Coup social media links to be informed on what we've got going on. Signing off from West Philly, I'm Jason Peters, and this